Hi guys, I just wanted to let you know that I will no longer be doing gaming videos. Instead, I've decided to move on. I'm going to be doing stories, philosophy, poetry, my strengths from older times, you could say. So I do hope you understand, and I do hope you enjoy my story for today. I wrote this story back in high school, back when I was doing creative writing, and I hope it touches a bit of all of you. Long ago, there was an old man. His face was wrinkled, his hair gray, his eyes no longer worked for him. He walked a road every day. Along that road was a willow tree which he would sit and rest under. He walked with a cane. At the top, it was fashioned with the head of a small bird, and the rest of it was smooth and straight as could be. It was made of willow wood. But today was a different day. Today he walked this road once again, but he knew something would be different. On this day, when he arrived at his tree, a young man was standing there, staring at it, pondering. The old man said, "You look confused, maybe baffled. Perhaps you need some help with something. But I don't think I can lend you too much help." The young man turned around and saw the old man. "You're nothing but a beggar. Just look at you. Your clothes are tattered, you're old and worn, you've nothing but skin and bone. You couldn't possibly help me." The old man smiled and stifled a laugh. "Well, maybe I can. Why don't we just try it? Come, sit beside me underneath this tree. So, why are you even out here? You seem you would be better suited for a city." The young man looked at him. "I am from the city, but I've came out here to think on stuff, and to reflect, to get away from all the hustle and bustle and noise. What else could I be out here for?" The old man, he looked out into the distance, and he sighed. "Perhaps it's my age, but perhaps it is something a bit more that we can delve into. Why don't you tell me a bit about yourself?" "Me? Why should I tell you about me? I'll humor you, old fool. I come from the richest family, the wealthiest of all. Nothing can compare. Women climb over in droves to get me. I am at the elite of my class. There is nothing I could want more than anything, and I can buy whatever I want. So, you are nothing to me. But I can never buy happiness. No one ever sells happiness. I don't know where I can buy it. I know I can buy lots of things, but I don't know where I can buy this happiness that everyone says money cannot buy. I am sure I could buy it." The old man put his hand upon the young man's shoulder. He said, "Happiness is not something you can buy. It is something that you must experience and feel. It is something that you need to experience. I came from a wealthy family. I had all the riches. I had the women. I had anything I could ask for with money. But the only thing I never had was happiness until I figured out what I needed to do. It came to me like a dream. One day I got up and I gave it all away. I gave my money to the orphanage, the hospitals, and the schools. I even gave it to the homeless and had them build homes. They are no longer homeless and they are grateful. Whenever I walked by the school, I could hear the laughter of children as they learned. When I walked by the orphanage, I was offered to come in for a bite to eat with them. They would give me a loaf of bread and a skin of water as I went on my way. When I walked by the hospitals, they would check up on me to see how I was doing. It was everything I could have ever imagined. And when I walked by the homeless, who no longer were homeless, they invited me into their house so I could rest my weary feet, even if it was just for a little bit, and they would sit and talk about everything that they have been able to do since they became a normal member of society instead of being shunned as an outcast for having nothing. Well, why would you give that all away? The young man was confused. He did not know what to do. It sounded ludicrous. There's no way one man would throw away his riches. He sat and he pondered. And he looked at the old man again, who sat there silently, staring off into the distance. Old man, tell me something. After you gave everything you had away, how happy were you? The old man sat there with a smile. I've never been more happier to be relieved that I could give something to others that I had all this time. The old man took the young boy's hands and he held them tightly. I know you can do this too. You can be happy. Look into my eyes. All you have to do is give it all away. How do I know this? For I am you. And with a crash of lightning and the sound of rain coming down, the young man woke up underneath that willow tree, but it wasn't so big. It was small, still a sapling growing. He was getting wet, and he headed back to the city. The dream festered in his mind as he tried to understand everything that happened. Truly, would he be happy if only he gave everything away? As he reached the city and he started walking through the streets, he saw the homeless clamoring together, trying to have shelter from the storm. He looked over to the school, hardly used. Teachers only came but once a week. No one had the opportunity to learn much. Only the rich could afford private lessons. The orphanage, it looked run down and battered, holes in the roof. It looked like its upkeeping could not be afforded anymore. And the hospitals, the lines of people outside looking to be treated by a doctor. But there was too little of them. As the young man approached his mansion, he walked inside. And when he was in there, he sat down and he pondered more and more. Should he do it? Should he listen to what his dream told him and give everything away? all the money, all the gems, all the fame, everything, to give that all away, would it be worth it? He decided to sleep on his decision. Come the next morning, the sun shone brightly through his window. He got up, he put his robes on, and he went downstairs. When he arrived at his dining table, he called for all his servants to come. Everyone, gather round. Each of you have been with me since I was born. I had the silver spoon in my mouth this whole time, but I've never experienced it without it. As of this day, I am no longer going to be your charge. I am letting you all go. I am going to pay you each 3 years' worth of payment right now. That way you will have something to cover you while you look for other ways to work and earn a living. But we're also going to do one last task together. Gather all my riches, everything, every silver, copper, gold coin you can find, any gem or priceless piece of jewelry. Grab it. Art, grab it all. We are selling it, and we are going to give the money to those who need it the most. And on that day, after he had sold everything, he went to the orphanage. He had given them a huge sum to upkeep the building and make sure the orphans had better food and better living, better clothing, to give them that little extra hope in life. He went to the hospital, and he gave them a sum of money too, so they could hire more doctors and nurses, so the people would not have to wait outside in long lines. He went over to the school, and he had them hire the private tutors as full-time teachers, so the school could be there all week long for students, for other kids, even adults to come and learn language, math, art, stuff to make their life easier. And lastly, he went to the homeless, and he gave each of them 1 gold coin. And he said, "This is your food for 1 week. In this 1 week, we are going to build you your own neighborhood. In those houses is where you will live. You will no longer be homeless. And after that week is finished and this neighborhood is built, I will give you each 100 gold coins so you can live off of them and be able to find work, get clothing, food, make sure your family is safe. Do this with me, and everyone shall be happy and rich." The homeless cheered. They picked up the young man and carried him through the street. They all went. They went and bought fish, bread, water. Some bought wine. It was a glorious day. Each of them finally able to improve their life. And the young man never felt happier than seeing the smiles that he brought to every single person that day. And from that day he lived off of 2 silver coins, enough for a loaf of bread and a skin of water whenever he was not near the town. And when he walked through the streets, the orphanage would welcome him in and give him a loaf of bread and a skin of water. When he walked by the hospital, they would check to see how he was doing. When he walked by the school, he could hear the laughter of children. And when he walked by the homeless that were no longer homeless, they offered to welcome him into their house so he could rest his weary feet. And on his journey through the years, that willow tree that he passed At least twice a week he would go and he would visit it to see how it was growing. And each time he visited, he would lay down for a nap underneath the tree, staring into the distance, realizing that money couldn't buy him happiness. He had to give away everything that he owned to truly find happiness. He made others happy, and that's what really made him happy. So in the end, he grew old, and on the day that he died, they had buried him underneath that willow tree, and on the stone they marked, "The world's happiest man." He shall ever be happy, and in his peace he will find that everything will continue and grow, and the city he came from would be quite happy and well sustained. So I hope you enjoyed my little story. It was made back in high school. That was, 9 years ago. So I hope you do enjoy this. I will be making my content like this. Stories, philosophy, stuff you don't need to watch. Just be able to listen to and relax. You could turn it on and listen to it on a drive. Listen to it while you're doing something else. I want to feed your ears and not your eyes. So I hope you enjoyed. And I hope if you're new to the channel and just finding this, that you will subscribe for more content like this. And if you're an older fan, I do thank you for sticking around all this time. So I hope that you do continue to subscribe to the channel and like what you're listening to. And I'd also love to hear you in the comments below of, was the volume too low, too loud? Was my pacing too slow, too fast? I'd like to hear all this. I want to hear your stuff. And maybe you want to voice what you think the moral of the story is, or how you felt about the story too. So I thank you all again for listening. Have a good day. And remember, only you can make you happy.